Hey, welcome back to Winning What's in the Bag. And today, we're not looking at Scotty Scheffler's bag. I know the guy just keeps winning, but it hasn't changed. So we're going to go with Billy Horschel and his Winning What's in the Bag from the Corales Puntacana Championship this weekend. Congrats to Billy, big win there. And we're going to start at the top as we always do. And the top is the Titleist TSR3. And that is a 9-degree head. So the TSR3 is a little bit low launch, low spin. It's got a little unique face design where the sweet spot is actually more vertical than spreading out horizontal. And this gives better players a little better ball speed where they tend to miss it either high or low on the face. Now the sure fit hosel is set to C1, and that is minus 0.75 degrees of loft, while also making it 0.75 degrees flat. So the more flat you make the club, you lower the loft a touch, but you really kind of take some of the left side out of it. You take some of the draw out of the club the more flat you make it. He's got the rear weight set to H2. That's a weight that's got 5 settings. He's got it all the way down in the heel, which is kind of maximum draw. But for some of the players at his level, it's not necessarily draw so much as maybe the feel throughout the swing, or some players will move that weight over to where they make more impact on their misses, where it may be down in the heel. Now this is shafted up with a Fujikura Ventus TR Black 6X. So I know we've talked about the Ventus Black before. The TR is even a little bit more stiff profile than the standard black. The TR has got a reinforced handle section with a spread toe fabric, and it is the lowest launching, lowest spinning shaft in the Fujikura Ventus lineup at the moment. The fairway wood then, we move on to, is a Titleist TSI 2 15-degree. So this is a 3-wood head, but it's the TSI, which is the previous model. Looks a little different than the current one, but again, some of these players play older clubs because there's a launch and spin or a parameter that they just maybe don't get with the new one that they're getting with their old one, or it could just strictly be comfort under pressure. So this is the 15-degree head, which is the 3-wood, and the sure fit hosel on this one is set to C1 as well. So just like the driver, minus 0.75 of loft and 0.75 degrees flatter than the standard setting. Now this one's shafted up with a Project X Hazardous Smoke Black 70 gram, and this is a 6.5 TX Flex. So the Hazardous Smoke is, again, low launch, low spin, kind of like the Ventus, but this is Project X version, and this is kind of the second generation of the Project X, or the Hazardous Black. The first generation was just the Hazardous, this one's the Hazardous Smoke. Big difference is that they made it a better feeling shaft. The first one was a little harsh. This one is definitely a smoother shaft through the swing, but still low launch, low spin. Interesting though, that's a 6.5 TX. I know a lot of the newer Project X shafts are either 6.5 or Tour X. This one has both markings on it, so I'm going to assume it's a Tour X. A little bit more stout, probably slightly lower torque than the standard 6.5 model. Then he moves on to a 5-wood, and this is a Titleist TSI2 as well. So the older model again, and this is the 18-degree head, the 5-wood head. And this one on the sure fit hosel is set to B1, which that means it's just 0.75 degrees flat. So standard loft, 18 degrees, but it is flatter than normal setting. Now this one again, just like the 3-wood, is shafted up with a Project X Hazardous Smoke Black 80 gram 6.5 TX Flex. So 80 grams, a little bit heavier. That's usually the kind of the transition people go is 10 grams per wood. But again, a low launch, low spin, fairly stout fairway wood shaft there at 80 grams in the 6.5 TX Flex. Now we move into irons, and irons are a little bit of a combo set. So it's a Titleist T100. He uses 3 through 5, and then he moves on to the Titleist 620 MB in the 6 through 9 irons. So the T100 is going to be the iron that's got a little bit of forgiveness, slightly, maybe just a little bit higher launch, but it's a cavity back, it's got some tungsten weights, so in the long irons, it's probably a little bit easier to launch, a little more forgiving, and then when he moves down to the 6 through 9 iron, it's the true 620 muscle back blade. Very traditional, very compact, easy to work the ball. You can flight it down, flight it up, hit it right, hit it left, pretty much work it in any way you want. And he uses 6 through 9 in that, and those are all shafted with True Temper Dynamic Gold 120 Tour Issue X100 shafts. So this is a slightly lighter version than the X100 we've talked about in other Winning What's in the Bags. It comes in at 120 grams in the X100. I believe the S400 version, the stiff version, comes in right around 116 or 118, pretty close to that. So this is for players who want the same kind of low launch, low spin as the X100, but they want something just a little bit lighter. And this is about 10 grams lighter than the true Dynamic Gold X100. So now we move into the wedges, and Billy uses a whole plethora of Vokey wedges. So his pitching wedge is actually a Titleist Vokey SM10, and this is the 46.10 F grind. It is bent 1 degree strong to 45 because it actually has a 45 stamped on it. So it's actually kind of a 45.09. When you bend anything strong or weak, the bounce is affected by that same. So if you bend it 1 degree strong, you'll take 1 degree bounce off. And if you bend it 1 degree weak, you'll add 1 degree of bounce. So 45.09F is kind of what it's playing as. Again, the F grind is great for full shots or shots that you're playing the club square to the target. And this is shafted up with the same True Temper Dynamic Gold 120 Tour Issue X100 that he has in the irons. And that's going to be to match the flight, feel, and all that of these iron shafts. Now, some players play a pitching wedge that is a sand wedge style because they like the look. It offers a launch characteristic, spin, launch that they want to see. Or it's just more versatile if they're going to use it around the greens to play different types of shots. Then you move into his gap wedge, and his gap wedge is actually a Titleist Vokey SM10 52.12 F grind. Now the 12 is the higher bounce version. They do make a standard bounce version of the F grind, but the 12 degree is in this 52, and it seems to be a popular option out there on tour. It seems like we see a lot of 50 and 52s with the 12 degree F grind sole. Now this one, it says 10 degrees on it, or 10 degrees is stamped on it. So I'm going to assume that it's 10 degrees of bounce, meaning he may have bent this a little bit strong. So he might have bent it to 50 degrees, and that would match up with the pitching wedge at 45. So we're going to assume he's doing that at the moment. So bending it 2 degrees strong would take 2 degrees of bounce off it, making it 10 degrees of bounce. When you bend it strong like that, it also adds just a touch of offset as well, and some players like the look of offset. This is shafted up with a True Temper Dynamic Gold S400 or Tour Issue S400 Black Onyx shaft. So this is basically just a standard S400, about 132 grams, but it's got a gloss black finish to it that some players just really like. His sand wedge is a Vokey SM10 56.08 M grind. The M grind is a super versatile grind, has a lot of trailing edge, toe and heel relief. You can open that club up without the leading edge coming off the ground, play a lot of different shots with it. When you play it square to the target, it's got a little bit of bounce to it, so you won't dig, and has good turf interaction, but it gets through the turf really quickly and is very smooth through it. And then we move into a 60 degree, which is actually a Titleist Vokey WedgeWorks 60 V grind. So the V grind is actually going to look a little bit like the T grind, but it's a little higher bounce than that. It's still got very aggressive trailing edge relief from toe to heel, so you can still open the face up and that leading edge won't come off the ground. It's a very versatile wedge. You can hit a lot of different shots with it. And this is actually bent to 62 degrees. So whatever bounce it had, which isn't marked on the club, it will go up by 2 degrees. Anything you bend weak, 1, 2 degrees, the bounce will increase by that same number. Same with going weak. If you bend it weak, it will take off a little bit of bounce. But the V grind is great for full shots or open face shots. It's very versatile. Play it, also out of all sorts of lies and all sorts of shots. And this one also, like the others, is shafted up with a True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour Issue S400 Black Onyx. Now his putter is a slightly older Ping Sigma 2 Tine 4. Now this is the one that's got kind of a very soft, rubber insert on the front of it, but the Tine has the 2 fangs, a very popular design. We see a lot of that design on tour, but Ping's is a little more squared off, a little blockier than some of the other models out there. Very soft feel on it. The retail ones actually had, when they first came out, had the adjustable shaft that you could put a little screw into the grip, and you could twist it to make it longer or shorter. Billy's doesn't have that. It looks to have just a standard steel shaft in it, and his grip is a Ping PP58 midsize, or that it looks to be that way. Now the ball he plays is a Titleist Pro V1X Plus prototype. So yes, we've seen left dashes and dots, but this is a Pro V1X Plus symbol after it. And basically this ball came out, or at least was kind of shown on tour, I think it was last year in the spring, and it is basically a higher spinning Pro V1X. So the Pro V1X is already a little bit higher spinning, a little bit higher launching. This one here is just even more spin than the standard retail model. Now, it's not available to us mortals, unfortunately, but it was built by the CPO, or Custom Performance Department at Titleist, and it's used by Billy, and it was used by a handful of other professionals, at least as of last year. I don't know exactly who might still be using it. So that is Billy Horschel's winning What's in the Bag from the 2024 Corales Puntacana Championship. Congratulations to him, and also congratulations to Scotty for winning again. The guy just can't lose, it seems. But we will welcome you back next week when we take a look at the winners' What's in the Bag.